Hey guys, Ryan here. So this is the Garmin Venu 2 Plus smartwatch that I've been using for the past 6 months, and I want to share with you everything you need to know about it, including the one reason that almost made me give up on it. So when you wear a smartwatch every day for 6 months, you really get to know it well, especially if you're a tech YouTuber. And I feel like I have to start with the size, shape and comfort of this watch, especially since a lot of you have been asking me about the size of this watch since the first review video. So for example, some of you prefer bigger watches, some have smaller wrists and wonder if this is a good fit. And honestly, if you're looking for a badass looking watch, you need to look for something bulkier than this one. And you can check out this video for an example of what I mean. But since you're gonna wear the watch at night, or at least that's the assumption, comfort has a high priority, which means the bigger the watch, the less comfortable when you go to sleep while wearing it. And that's the one reason I decided to stick with this watch instead of something like the Fenix 7 smartwatch, which has more features but is bigger than this watch. So after 6 months, I've concluded that this watch, in terms of the size, look and fit, suits most people with different wrist sizes because it's neither too small nor too big. And if you still prefer something a little bigger, I actually recommend you checking out the Venu 2 watch, which is the predecessor to the Venu 2 Plus, and it's just a tiny bit bigger than this one and doesn't have a microphone and speaker, and in fact has a bigger battery, but otherwise identical to the Venu 2 Plus. Now, the size of a watch, while being a very important determinant of comfort level, is not the only factor. In fact, the bands or the straps can be just as important, and the straps that come with the Venu 2 Plus are not the most comfortable kind of straps. In fact, the silicone straps of the Fenix 7 are more comfortable than these, so I highly recommend considering buying some other kind of straps that perhaps are mainly made of fabric. So you can check out the links in the description for a few examples of these. But at the end of the day, this is kind of personal, and you'll know whether they're comfortable or not by wearing them for a couple weeks. But I mean, a smartwatch, no matter how comfortable and good looking, isn't a real smartwatch if it doesn't have a sleep tracker, right? I personally want something that has high accuracy and is reliable, and I'm perfectly aware of the fact that there's simply no watch that with 100% accuracy can measure all the sleep cycles. And speaking of sleep cycles, I do want my watch to show all different stages of my sleep. Well, I can tell you that I approve of the sleep tracking feature of the Venu 2 Plus. It's better than many other competitors out there, despite the fact that it's got its own issues. Like I said, none of them are 100% precise and accurate. For example, let's say one night you wake up way too early and you just lay in bed and you just use your phone for a while. If you stay in bed while using your phone, it's highly likely that the watch thinks that you're asleep. But if you go to the glance view and then tap the sleep option, it'll ask you if you're still sleeping, which you can select no, and then it won't track anymore. But whether you manually select that or the watch itself stops tracking because it thinks you're done with sleeping for the night, and then let's say after an hour of using your phone you fall asleep again, it won't track that anymore. And that is tied to the fact that this watch doesn't track naps, while there are of course other budget fitness trackers out there that actually do track your naps. Now, if I had to name the worst thing about this watch, it would be the one app, which is a Garmin app, and that's the hydration app, which allows you to track your fluid consumption, whether in number of cups or other units like in milliliters. The only thing this app does is adding and subtracting numbers, literally. There's nothing complicated about this one as far as creating an app goes, but it's embarrassingly bad, and I can't believe Garmin has done such a bad job at creating an app as simple as this one, and it has very bad reviews too. The problem is that sometimes it messes up the numbers itself, or you press the plus or minus and some other numbers gets added or subtracted from the total amount. And sometimes it has problems with certain numbers. It used to be number 5 and then 7 and then 5 and 10. So for example, you reach your 10th cups of water or fluids and then you tap the plus, and instead of going from 9 to 10, it goes from 9 to 11 and so on. There have been updates though, but usually their updates fixes something and breaks something else. But it's still worth manually checking if there are any updates for your apps using the Garmin Connect app on your phone, and if there is any, you'll see it next to the name of the app. By the way, if you want, you can install more apps and watch faces, both from Garmin and third-party developers, but to do that you need to install yet another app on your phone called Connect IQ. I personally only installed a few apps and that's it. For example, one of them is the Smart Things from Samsung, so I can do the home automation stuff on the watch. Now, I think perhaps the number one question I've received from a lot of my viewers has been whether or not the Venu 2 Plus has maps and live tracking features. Well, the answer is that the watch can track your activity. For example, if you go hiking or trail running or just a simple walk outdoors with the help of GPS, and it can even recognize the activity automatically after a set period of time that you can also modify yourself. Then you can view the actual path of your activity on your phone. So the watch doesn't have live maps. However, you can install a few third-party offline maps from Connect IQ Store app, but don't have high expectations for these apps. And then just so you know, even though there is no live maps, you can actually save your current location and then navigate to that location wherever you go. So you're not gonna get lost in the wild when you don't have your phone with you. And you can save different locations and assign an icon to them and see their coordinates on the watch as well. So when you buy a smartwatch, in addition to the watch itself, you're gonna have to deal with the app on your phone too. And the experience and benefits you get from the app is just as important as the watch, if not more important. And in the case of Venu 2 Plus, like all the other Garmin watches, you're going to need to have two apps installed, which are the Garmin Connect and also the Connect IQ Store. And in my opinion, this could have been easily just one app, and this is usually not the case with other smartwatch manufacturers. So it's a shame that they're overcomplicating this thing. Of course, you don't have to install the Connect IQ app if you don't want to install any apps or data fields or create a custom watch face. But when it comes to the main app, that is the Garmin Connect, you get a lot of raw data, probably more than any other smartwatches out there. But this wealth of data doesn't feel very insightful. Yes, you get a sleep score, yes, you get a stress score and other things, but it's hard to actually take advantage of this data long term and to see the impact of certain things on your stats. For example, with this watch, you can run a 2-minute health snapshot to get your average SpO2, respiration rate, stress, and HRV, but there is no way to see a trend of these snapshots to figure out how they're changing over time. So again, I use the term not very insightful, something you get a lot more of with a watch like Fitbit Sense, except the real insights are hidden behind a subscription, while with a watch like Fitbit Sense, whereas with Garmin, everything's included. So it's kind of a trade-off you'll have to accept if you want to get yourself a watch like Venu 2 Plus or any other Garmin smartwatches for that matter. Okay, so I reckon that the main selling point of this watch is its battery life, especially for the folks who are fed up with Apple and Samsung's short battery life. They advertise up to 9 days, and I've said that in real life 4 or 5 days is what you should expect, and that was the case for me for a few months. Solid 4 or 5 days, until at some point, I think it was when I updated to version 9, I started to get crazy battery drainage. Like the battery could hardly last 2 days and nothing seemed to fix the issue. So I was actually really happy with version 9, as it seemed like they had taken care of some more bugs. For example, my watch never crashed anymore or anything like that, and they even added a few more sports profile, one of them being tennis, which was really cool to see, but also so angry that the battery life had gotten so bad. And then I remembered one comment from a few months ago from someone asking about the durability of the battery compared to the Venu 2, as they were saying that apparently their Venu 2's battery had degraded very fast and the battery life had become very bad. So me being so disappointed was thinking of getting another smartwatch like the Epix 2 or something else. Lo and behold, I found a fix for it, and not only does it not drain anymore, but also now I get up to 7 days of battery life, of course if I don't use the GPS too much. So if you ever experience this issue, first thing, go to the menu on the watch and then select system, and then make sure the PhysioTrueUp is off by default. Of course, if you're wearing some other wearables from Garmin and you want the devices to sync up, then you need to keep that on. But for me, it had turned on itself for no reason. Then you want to go to your phone's Bluetooth, then details, then unpair the watch. Then try to connect it again, but don't make the mistake of thinking you need to pair it here again in the Bluetooth section. Instead, open the Garmin Connect app and then add a device and then find the Venu 2 Plus from the list. Then go to your phone's menu once again. Then this time select connectivity and then phone, and then select pair phone, and just wait till it gets connected to the phone. If it fails, don't panic and just try again. I'm fairly confident that this will fix the problem, or at least it did for me. Crisis averted, right? As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.